Good morning and welcome children in today's English classroom for class 11th. Today we have taken up one lesson from the snapshot supplementary reader Albert Einstein at school, and today we are doing part 2. Part 1 you already have completed. The author is Patrick Pringle, and this is a biography. As you know, autobiography is written about one's life by himself or herself, and biography is the story about one's life written by someone else. Okay, so this is a biography of Albert Einstein. Okay, now we'll see the theme once again of this lesson before going to the text of the second part. Okay, the lesson Albert Einstein at school is an extract from the biography of Albert Einstein named The Young Einstein by Patrick Pringle. In this lesson, Patrick familiarizes the reader with those years in Einstein's life where he was struggling each day in school, and each day past the school diploma felt like a far-reached dream. It throws light upon a few encounters with his teacher, what he felt about the neighborhood he lived in, and how he had only one good friend, Yuri. The way Albert strategizes to get out of the miserable place, school, and how things turned around in the end makes the story even more interesting. So this is the basic theme of the story. About the character, quickly we'll have a look. Albert Einstein, of course, the central character, as it's a biography about him. Mr. Braun, Einstein's history teacher. Yuri, Einstein's good friend. Elsa, Einstein's cousin. Uh, Dr. Ernstwell, a newly qualified doctor who helps him by giving the medical certificate. Mr. Koch, Einstein's mathematics teacher, and the head teacher of Einstein's school. Now, the flowchart of the storyline that we have done till now in part 1. I will just give this very brief description about that part. Okay, the chapter opens in history class where Mr. Braun is asking Einstein a question related to dates. Einstein gives a frank reply that he does not remember the answer. Now, the conversation between Einstein and his history teacher, Mr. Braun, turns unpleasant when the teacher talks in a sarcastic manner about Einstein's theory of education. The teacher calls him a disgrace and punishes him. Now, Einstein feels very miserable due to many factors: the school environment, the place where he lived, etc. The atmosphere where he lives is also depressing. He hates the atmosphere of the slum violence, where the beating of children by their mother and the beating of a wife by a drunk husband is a regular feature. Now, Einstein discusses about all these with his friend Yuri, who lives in a shared room. Now, Yuri shares that his room was no better than Einstein's, as students became violent over small matters. Next, Einstein discusses about the problems at school with his cousin Elsa, who occasionally visited him. Now, Elsa thinks there is no reason that he cannot pass by remembering facts, even though he does not understand them. Now, Einstein is greatly interested in reading books on science. Elsa points out to him that reading those books will not help him to pass his exam. Einstein discusses with Yuri about getting a medical certificate from a doctor so that he can stay away from his school. So this much we have done. This is the storyline up to which we have done in part 1, where he was planning to get a medical certificate from a doctor so that he can stay away from the school for at least for 6 months. Yeah, now the highlighting points of this story: Einstein in history class, Einstein gets scolded, Einstein hated the atmosphere of slum violence, Einstein met his cousin Elsa, Einstein's plan to get away from school, and doctor gives Einstein a medical certificate. This much we have done in part 1. So in part 2's matter, the aspects that we are going to touch here, the highlighting points, Einstein seeks a reference, means medical reference. Then after Einstein summoned by the head teacher, and Einstein happy to leave the school. Let's start with the first one. Einstein seeks a reference. Okay, now Einstein seeks a reference, medical reference, of course. Einstein told Yuri that he would leave school forever as he never wanted to come back to that school. Yuri suggested him to take a reference letter from his maths teacher uh, to Mr. Koch before going to the headmaster. Mr. Koch really admired Einstein for his brilliance and gave him the reference. So, what his friend Yuri told him that the medical with that medical certificate, definitely he is going to get the leave for at least 6 months. But before that, he need to get a reference from the teacher. Okay, so that he can get admission somewhere else. Okay, and mathematics teacher also used to admire him. Now this part, how he collected the medical certificate and all this, that we'll see the conversation. We'll try to understand with the reference to the text. We'll start a little bit earlier. Okay, how long would you like me to say you should stay away from the school? Would 6 months be all right? So the doctor said, when he went to the doctor with reference, who was in turn the friend of Yuri, actually known, acquainted, a person of Yuri, he went there, and the doctor uh, told him that for how many days he want that the certificate. Okay, now the doctor said, this is very kind of you. It's nothing. I have only just stopped being a student myself, so I know how you feel. Here you are. Dr. Well handed him the certificate, and the best of luck. In this way, he handed him the certificate, okay, that he has that nervous breakdown, okay, and in this way, he wished him best of luck. Now Einstein asked him how much means how much fee he must have to pay. Doctor said nothing. If you have anything to spare, invite Yuri to our meal. He is a good friend of mine and yours too. I think Albert had no money to spare, but he pretended he had and took Yuri out to supper. Now he asked doctor how much he must have to pay. The doctor said that you need not to pay anything, and give a treat to your friend Yuri, because he is the friend of you as well as of me. Now, isn't it wonderful? He said after showing Yuri the certificate. He got the certificate now, Einstein, and showed the certificate to his friend Yuri, whose help actually he was able to achieve that, and said that how nice to see this article. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. Now, yes, it's fine. Yuri agreed. 6 months is a good period. Okay. Now, this way you won't actually be leaving the school. So if the worst comes to the worst, you will be able to come back and carry on your diploma. Now his friend Yuri said that at least this medical certificate will give you a time off, a break off, in a span of 6 month time to try somewhere else, and if you are unsuccessful there, at least you will get a chance to come and join this school, because this is a medical certificate. Okay. Now see the reply of Albert. Albert was actually totally detested about that school, isn't it? And that's why he said, what? I will never go back to that place. Albert assured him, I'm going to take this certificate to the head teacher tomorrow, and that will be the end of it. Okay, he said that I will take this certificate, ask for my leave, and I'm going to leave this school. I won't join this school ever. And his friend Yuri said, don't forget to get a reference in writing from your mathematics teacher first. Yuri reminded him that it's very important to get the reference before submitting that medical certificate, isn't it? So that you can get admission somewhere else. Now, he went to the mathematics teacher, who was Mr. Koch. Now, Mr. Koch willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. Now, see his statement. If I say I can't teach you anymore, and probably you will soon be able to teach me, Will that be all right? He asked. He asked actually quite sarcastically about this. Actually, he said that if I write that you have learned everything and very soon you are going to teach me, actually that was true, because the that mathematics teacher knew that he was a genius, and that's why he said that he had learned everything of mathematics that was supposed to be learned in that school within a very short time, and that's why he said so. That is saying too much, sir, said Albert. Albert was shocked and said, that is, you are saying too much. Actually, it is not so. It's only the truth. But all right, I will put that more seriously. The teacher said that, I know, whatever I am saying, that is the truth. What is the truth? That you have learned most of the part of the things which is taught in the school, and you are a mathematical genius, and you can teach me very soon. That ability you have. Now he said that, okay, I will put that in a serious way. Yeah. Now it is still a glowing reference, means good reference, and Mr. Koch made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. Now what did Mr. Koch write down there? He wrote that he's ready to get admission. He had learned the basics, whatever is needed to learn to get admission to a good institution or a college. He already have learned about the higher, so that he can carry on his studies in higher mathematics. Now the teacher, he said that I'm sorry you are leaving us. The teacher said, I'm sorry you are leaving us, although you are wasting your time in my class. He said, it's almost the only class where I am not wasting my time, said Albert. Now the teacher, Mr. Coach said that I'm sorry that you are leaving the class, but otherwise also you are wasting your time in the class, because you already have learned the thing whatever is going to be taught in that class. So it's better to leave this and to take admission for higher mathematics. Now Albert replied by saying that actually this is the class of mathematics only where I was not wasting time. This was the view of Mr. Albert Einstein. Okay, but how did you know I am leaving, sir? You wouldn't have asked me for this reference otherwise. Now Albert was shocked a little bit and said that how do you come to know that I am going to leave the school? Now the teacher said that you have come for a reference from me, and it means that it is you are going to leave. And now I thought you would wonder, actually. Albert said you would wonder and you would be asking me that why I am talking about that reference. Now there is nothing to wonder about Einstein. I knew you were going to leave before you know yourself. Albert was puzzled. What did the teacher mean? Actually, what the teacher wanted to mean here, I knew you were going to leave before you know yourself, because the teacher knew that he was a mathematic genius. So definitely, and in that school environment, he cannot continue for a long time, and definitely is going to leave the school. So this much is there in that part, that how he acquired that medical certificate and took the reference of Mr. Koch. Okay, our next part was Einstein summoned by head teacher, how he was being called and what were the conversation between them, the head teacher and Einstein. Will see that. Now before Einstein had a chance to give the medical certificate to the head teacher, he was summoned to the head teacher's office. Okay. Now the head teacher told him that he was expelled from the school and he should leave immediately. When Einstein wanted to know the reason, the head teacher told him that his presence disturbed the class so much that no teaching could be done. So that was the reason why he was being expelled. Now we'll see the conversation. Now as soon as he got that certificate, he wanted to come to school and was waiting for the head teacher to come. We'll see what had happened. He soon found out, before he had a chance to ask for an interview with the head teacher, he was summoned to the head's room. Well, it seems saves me the troubles of having to wait an hour or two outside, he thought. Albert thought it is better that the head teacher already called me, because otherwise it will be wasting time there waiting for the teacher outside the room. He hardly bothered to wonder why he had been sent for, but vaguely supposed he was to be punished again for bad work and laziness. Well, he had finished with punishment. Now he was wondering that why he was being called, and was gazing that definitely it could be for some sort of punishment that the head teacher is going to give him for his bad work or laziness. Okay. Now see, the head teacher said, I am not going to punish you. The head teacher said to Albert's surprise, your work is terrible, and I am not prepared to have you here any longer, Einstein. I want you to leave the school now. What did he say? Your work is terrible, and I am not prepared to have you here any longer, Einstein. I want you to leave the school now. Einstein, surprised. Leave the school now? Repeated Albert, dazed, surprised. That's what I said. You mean, said Albert, that I am to be expelled? You can take it that way if you wish, Einstein. The head teacher was not mixing words, not mixing words. Rather, he was coming to the straight way, to the point. The simplest thing will be for you to go of your own accord, and then the question won't arise. He said that. Sorry. You need to take your own decision, or the way you thinking that it is an expulsion, or you are going to leave the school by yourself, that is up to you. But, said Albert, what crime have I committed? But what crime have I committed? Albert said. Your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teacher to teach and for the other pupils to learn. Head teacher told, your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teacher to teach and for the other pupils to learn. So you can understand what was that blame on him, that his presence in the classroom cause disturbance for the other teacher, and a teacher as well as other students for continuing that process of learning. You refuse to learn. You are in a constant rebellion, and no serious work can be done while you are there. Now, head teacher said, you refuse to learn, and you are constantly you do constantly protest, and no serious work can be done while you are there. So that was the punishment, the reason given by the head teacher. Now Einstein happy to leave the school at the end. We will see. When Einstein heard this, he felt sad, and he had unnecessarily wasted time and effort in procuring a medical certificate. Now he was thinking that why I have done so much of effort to get that medical certificate. Einstein was tempted to tell the head teacher what he thought about the school or about the teachers, but somehow stopped himself. But he didn't feel ashamed of being expelled and walked out, keeping his head high. He didn't say goodbye to any teacher or student inside the school. The only person he wanted to meet before leaving was Yuri, who wished him good luck and wished that he would be happier in Milan as it was a wonderful place. So as Albert's plan was there that he'll go to Milan in Italy and will take admission in some college there. So this was what. Now we'll see the conversation, how it had ended. Albert felt the medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket. Now, burning a hole means what? That wastage of his time, wastage of his money. Now, he had made lot of effort. He had to take lot of tension for acquiring that medical certificate, but that is of no use. Now he was being expelled from the school. I'm going to leave anyway, he said. I'm going to leave anyway, he said. Albert said this. Then we are in agreement, at least, Einstein, the head said. He said that we are in agreement then. You want to leave and we want you to leave. So both we were in agreement, there is no problem. For a moment, Albert was tempted to tell the man what he thought about him and his school and of his school. Then he stopped himself without another word, holding his head high. He stalked out of the room. So this was what the story is all about. I suppose you understood. Now we'll see the flow chart of the storyline that we have done today. Now, Yuri suggested to Einstein to meet his mathematics teacher first for a reference before Einstein went to meet the head teacher with the medical certificate. Einstein's maths teacher, Mr. Koch, appreciates his brilliance. He gives a glowing reference to Einstein, which can get him admission in uh, an institution or for higher education in maths. Einstein is called by the head teacher, who informs him that he is being expelled from the school. The head teacher tells him of his misbehavior in class. Einstein happily leaves the school with head held high. He does not bid goodbye to any teacher or student of that school. Now, before leaving for Milan, he meets his best friend Yuri, who wishes him good luck for the future. So, this is the storyline of the part we have done in part 2. Now, a few words meanings are given: physicist, expulsion, unthinking, image, heavy, sarcasm. So, you may refer the meaning or the word meaning from here. Okay, more word meanings are get once now. Then howling, absurd, turn out. This is the word meaning I have given for both part 1 and 2. Now, before ending, I'm going to make an announcement. On 19th in my next class, we'll have a speech. Just a minute. For 1 minute we'll be speaking, and randomly I will be asked the children from 11A, B, C, D to come forward and to speak. And class-wise topics I had given for 11A, different topics. Exchanges between Einstein and history teacher show that Einstein is honest and truthful. So this is the topic. You may speak for the motion, against the motion, or as a speech also you may take for 1 minute only. Okay, in this way, for A, B, C, D, different topics are there. You may refer. Okay, I also have shared one homework assignment for you as material. So you'll note down in your copy and will submit for checking. Thank you very much.